The sky was not blue anymore. It was filled with silver shapes that moved like a wall across the stars. People on the street stopped walking, their eyes locked on the horizon. Where the first alien ships appeared, they were huge, bigger than any aircraft. Humans had built, and they hung in the air without sound, without smoke, without warning. The first wave came slowly, almost calmly, as if they were taking their time to let the people of Earth see them. Then more appeared, rising from the darkness of space like a tide. 100 ships, 500 ships, 1,000 ships. Military radars screamed louder with each passing minute as the number grew to 5,000, then almost 10,000 warships filling the sky and blocking the light. Commander Hale stood inside the underground command center, staring at the wall of screens showing every angle of the invasion. The operators moved fast, shouting coordinates and numbers, but there was no clear order to give. Hale's voice was cold when he finally spoke to the world leaders. Connected through secure lines, they are not here to talk. This is an occupation. One of the communication officers froze in his seat, his face pale. Sir, we have intercepted a signal from the alien fleet. The message was played and everyone went silent. A deep, mechanical voice filled the room, broken and distorted by static. You are surrounded. 3 words, nothing more, but it was enough to freeze every soul who heard it. In the cities, people panicked, some running for shelter, others just staring. Up, unable to move, the massive ships blocked the sun, leaving whole streets in shadow, and the silence was almost worse than any sound. The aliens did not fire, no weapon was launched, they just stayed there watching, waiting. Hale ordered all forces on standby and for the defense grid to activate, but before a single human missile could launch, something strange happened. From the far side of the moon, bright flashes lit up the darkness. They were quick, sharp bursts of light like gunfire in space. Then the first alien warship exploded into a ball of fire. The blast was so powerful, it lit up the sky over half the planet. Hale stared at the screens. What was that? Did we fire negative, sir? Came the reply. All batteries report no launch. Another explosion came from the edge of the fleet. Then another ships began to break apart, torn by invisible attacks. The alien formation shifted as the massive warships moved in panic. Trying to find the source of the destruction, Hale ordered satellite tracking to locate the firing positions, but the computers found nothing. The shots were coming from coordinates that should have been empty space. No heat signatures, no ships, no sign of anything at all. Still, the alien fleet continued to burn. For more ships were destroyed in less than 2 minutes. The alien armada started moving backward, adjusting formation, trying to shield itself from whatever was hitting them somewhere. In the middle of the chaos, in a remote desert, far from any city, an old man sat alone in a small concrete bunker. His name was Dr. Terran. His hands shook slightly as he typed commands into a dusty console in front of him. The screen flickered with old symbols and strange diagrams. He ignored the sound of distant thunder, and the faint trembling of the walls outside the sky was the same as everywhere else, filled with alien ships blotting out the stars. Terran's voice was almost a whisper as he spoke to no one in particular. I told them never to make me turn this thing back on. His fingers moved faster across the keyboard, and far above him, another alien ship exploded into fragments. In the alien flagship high above Earth, General Karth leaned forward in his chair, his 4 eyes narrowing as another sensor. Alert screamed the enemy was invisible, undetectable, and deadly. Their advanced scans showed nothing in the empty space around them, but the attacks kept coming. The general hissed in anger and confusion. We are not alone here. The alien crew looked to him for orders, but for the first time since the invasion began, there was hesitation. The enemy they thought was weak was killing them without showing its face back on Earth. Commander Hale felt something he had not expected that day, hope, but it was mixed with something else. Something about the way those attacks came so suddenly without warning and from nowhere at all made him uneasy. This was not the work of any human force he knew, and if it was not us, then who was it? Hale's gaze stayed locked on the main screen as another alien warship burst apart in silence. Somewhere out there in the darkness, something was fighting for Earth, but he did not know why or what it wanted, and that thought alone sent a cold shiver down his spine. In the hours that followed, the destruction only grew stranger. The alien fleet shifted like a school of fish, scattering and reforming as invisible fire tore through their ranks. From the command center, Commander Hale demanded updates, but every satellite, every radar sweep came back the same. No targets detected, no engine heat, no weapon trails. The enemy killing the aliens was a ghost. An operator shouted, "Sir, incoming comes from several nations. They want to know if we have deployed experimental." Fleet's Hale answered without looking away from the screen, "Tell them we have nothing out there. Tell them we are just as blind as they are." The alien flagship General Karth paced across the bridge. His warriors were trained for battle against fleets of every shape and technology, but never had they fought an enemy they could not see. He barked orders for the fleet to fire in all directions. Beams of energy lashing out into the black void like lightning across a storm, but their sensors showed only empty space. The general's second-in-command leaned closer in a nervous whisper. "Perhaps they are cloaked." Karth's claws tapped the railing slowly. "A cloak cannot hide from all scans. We are being hunted by something beyond known. War science far below on Earth." In the heat of a desert night, a dim light glowed inside Dr. Terran's bunker. The old man's thin hands moved with precision over his keyboard. The ancient machine before him whirred with a sound that had not been heard in decades. Above the desk, a row of small green lights began to pulse in sequence. Each time the last light blinked, an alien warship far above shattered into fragments. Terran's eyes never left the screen. His voice was a mutter meant for himself. "I told them not to shut it away, but they wanted peace. They thought they could bury it in the dark." Commander Hale finally traced the origin of the strange bursts. The signal did not match any military network. It came from somewhere deep in the old classified satellite maps, coordinates that were marked as destroyed in a solar flare accident 30 years ago. Hal sent a small recon team to investigate. Their transport skimmed low over the dunes until they found the bunker half buried in sand. A rusted metal door opened before they even knocked, and Terran stepped out as if expecting them. He looked at the soldiers with tired eyes. "You shouldn't be here." Hale stepped forward. "Doctor, whatever you are doing, you are interfering with global defense operations." Terran shook his head. "No, Commander. I am defending your planet the only way it can be defended." In space, the alien fleet faltered. Entire squadrons vanished into fire without ever firing back. Panic rippled through their formation. The mechanical voice that had once threatened Earth now filled their own channels with urgent orders. "Retreat to the shadow zone. Regroup by the outer ring." The survivors pushed their engines to maximum, trying to escape the unseen killers. But every move only seemed to draw more attacks. Alien crews screamed over the comms about human voices whispering inside their ships, moments before their hulls split open back. In the bunker, Hale looked past Terran into the dim room, seeing rows of old equipment with cables running into the walls. One screen showed live feeds from points in deep space far beyond the moon. Dark shapes moved against the stars, too fast for the eye to follow. Hale felt his chest tighten. "Are those ships?" Terran did not answer. Instead, he pressed another key, and somewhere above, another alien vessel silently exploded. The old man's eyes flicked to Hale's for a moment, and in that instant Hale knew two things. Whoever was attacking the aliens was not from Earth, and Terran had known about them for a very long time. 3 days passed since the alien fleet had arrived, and almost half of it was gone without a single official shot fired from Earth. The news channels called it a miracle, but inside the command center, Hale knew better. Miracles did not leave this many unanswered questions. The surviving alien warships were no longer a perfect wall of steel and light. Instead, they floated in broken groups scattered across orbit like frightened predators. Each one kept its weapons charged, scanning empty space for an enemy that never appeared. The attacks came at random. Sometimes an entire cluster of alien ships vanished in fire. Other times, a single warship exploded without warning, always with no trace of what had hit them. Hale stood at the large display table showing real-time positions of every alien vessel. Something about the patterns gnawed at him. The invisible attackers were not destroying ships in order of strength or size. They were moving in strange arcs, as if they were searching for something, or herding the aliens toward a specific point. Hale's suspicion grew when another report came in from civilian sources. People across the planet had recorded strange interference on radios and televisions just before each alien ship was destroyed. A faint whisper in human voices could be heard, speaking languages from all over the world. Hale listened to one of the recordings, and the words chilled him. They said, "Debt collected far from the cities in the desert bunker." Terran watched the chaos unfold through his ancient screens. His fingers moved with practiced skill as he adjusted the feed. But unlike before, he was not smiling. The patterns in the attacks told him the same thing they told. How they, the ghosts in the dark, were not only killing the invaders, they were moving closer to Earth. Hale arrived at the bunker again, this time with fewer soldiers, but a sharper tone. "You're going to tell me exactly what's going on?" The old man leaned back in his chair, studying the commander for a long moment before speaking softly. "What's killing them is not ours. It's not a weapon Earth ever built. It's something we locked away over a century ago, something that should never have been." Hale frowned. "The records don't show any such program." Terran nodded. "They wouldn't. The shadows, as we called them, were an experiment gone wrong. Humans made to survive space without ships, without suits. They were supposed to be the next step of exploration, but they changed into something else. They learned to live in the dark, and they learned to kill. When we realized what they had become, we exiled them into deep space, where they could never come back." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Then why are they here now?" Terran's voice was heavy. "Because the aliens went looking for them, and they found them. In orbit, the alien flagship detected the growing presence of the shadows, but could not understand their nature. The shapes did not reflect light, they did not emit heat, they moved like living things, yet struck with the precision of machines. General Karth's fear turned to rage. He ordered the surviving fleet to abandon orbit and regroup beyond Mars, hoping to escape, but the shadows followed unseen, faster than any ship could fly. Alien crews screamed in panic, describing claw-like limbs tearing through holes, and cold voices echoing through the airless corridors of their ships. Hale listened to the intercepted transmissions, his skin prickled with the same thought running through everyone in the room. If the shadows could do this to the most powerful fleet the galaxy had seen, what would they do if they decided to turn on Earth beyond the orbit of Mars? The alien fleet tried to breathe in the cold safety of distance. Their ships moved in slow, wide arcs, scanning every shadow, every glint of light. The survivors were exhausted, many crews operating in silence too. Afraid to speak, the vastness of space should have been their shield, but it felt like a hunting ground. Shapes shifted in the far distance so fast that the alien sensors called them phantom readings, yet each time one appeared, another ship disappeared without signal, without debris. Sometimes there was no explosion at all, just a dead, silent vessel, drifting with its lights gone, as if every living thing inside had been erased on Earth. The strange voices grew louder. They bled into civilian broadcasts, hijacked emergency channels, even interrupted music stations. Always the same message repeated. In dozens of human tongues, debt collected, the words were spoken without emotion and without explanation. Commander Hale knew it was no random phenomenon. His gut told him the shadows were sending a warning or a promise to someone, maybe not even to humans. Terran confirmed it with a grim nod. "They know we can hear them. They want us to know they are keeping score." Hale pushed for a deep space patrol. Despite the risks, the fleet of human scout ships launched quietly, their mission to observe. Without engagement, one by one, the patrol stopped transmitting first. One ship fell silent near the asteroid belt. Then another vanished close to Jupiter. The last transmission came from a young pilot whispering in disbelief, "It's not ships, sir. It's them, they're human," before the signal cut into static. Hale stood frozen, replaying the words again and again. Ian explained in his quiet way, "They are human, Commander. Or they were once, but space changed them. It stripped away everything that made them like us, except the mind and the will to survive." Meanwhile, in the alien flagship, panic hardened into desperation. General Karth ordered a blind charge toward a nearby gas giant, hoping its storms could mask their heat signatures. The decision cost them 4 more warships. Shadows ripped through their lines with terrifying speed, and precision alien officers began to mutter the unthinkable word in their language. A word for predators that hunted even gods. The general silenced them with threats, but fear had already infected the crew back on Earth. The public clung to the illusion that the war was nearly over. News anchors spoke of alien losses and Earth's unlikely victory, but Hale did not share their optimism. He stood alone in the command center, staring at the dark zone beyond Mars, where the shadows moved. He could not shake the feeling that the aliens were no longer the main threat, that whoever the shadows were, they had their own purpose, and Earth might only be part of it. The night before the next alien push, Hale's screen lit up with an unscheduled transmission. The image was grainy and flickered as if coming through water. A tall figure stood in the frame, covered in dark armor with no visible face. Its voice was metallic and layered as it spoke. "We are coming home." The alien armada returned with a force twice as large as before. The black wall of ships stretched so far across the stars. It looked like a moving continent swallowing the light. Entire nations went into lockdown, sirens wailing across every city. Earth's defense forces prepared for the worst. But Hale knew the truth, even with all of humanity's weapons. They could not stop this wave. The command center was tense, no one speaking louder than a whisper. All eyes were fixed on the screens. Then, without warning, the darkness between the alien ships rippled. Something moved fast, like streaks of shadow against shadow. The first explosions came so quickly, the operators flinched. Ships tore apart in silence, pieces of burning metal scattering. Into the void the shadows had returned. This time their attack was not quiet, it was brutal, direct. Hundreds of alien vessels vanished in minutes, ripped apart as if by invisible claws. The alien fleet tried to fight back, but their weapons hit nothing. Only the emptiness of space panic spread among their formations, breaking their once perfect lines. Commander Hale watched with a mix of awe and dread. He turned to Terran. "Why are they helping us now?" The old man did not answer at first. His eyes stayed locked on the carnage above. Only when Hale pressed again did he speak. "They are not here for us, they are here for them." The alien flagship. General Karth shouted for his warriors to hold formation, but the command channels were filled with static and screams. The shadows cut through holes and power cores with surgical precision. Each attack left the ship dead in space before shattering it to fragments. Karth realized too late the truth. They are not defending this planet, they are hunting us. His final order was to retreat, but the shadows did not allow it. A wall of them appeared between the surviving alien ships. The edge of the system, their shapes were clearer now. Dark, angular forms, almost like living armor surrounding something human. Inside on Earth, the largest meeting of global leaders in history was taking place in the underground war room, when the lights flickered and the air seemed to grow colder. In the center of the room, without warning, a figure appeared, tall, armored, its surface shimmering as if it were woven from night itself. No face was visible, but when it spoke, the voice was deep, metallic, and carried an echo that seemed to come from all directions. "We are not your saviors. We are not your allies. We came for those who dared to hunt us, and we found them before anyone could respond." The figure vanished, leaving a faint shimmer in the air. Moments later, the screen showed the alien rearguard exploding in perfect sequence, every warship destroyed at the exact same time. The survivors, if any, were now scattered beyond recognition. The battle was over in less than an hour, but the silence it left behind was heavy. Ali knew the question that was coming next from every leader in the room. If they could destroy an armada this easily, what would stop them from turning against Earth? The alien fleet was gone. What little remained fleeing into the deep darkness beyond the system. The skies over Earth were clear again, and for the first time in weeks the stars shone without being blocked by walls of metal. People poured into the streets, cheering, waving flags, hugging strangers. The news declared Earth victorious, calling it the greatest military defense in history. But inside the underground command center there was no celebration. Commander Hale stood at the main screen, his hands resting on the table as he stared at the far edges of orbit where faint lights moved slowly. He knew those lights were not alien survivors, they were the shadows, and they had not left. Ren stood beside him, silent. The old man's eyes carried the weight of someone who understood what the world refused to see. "They saved us because our enemies were their enemies," Hal said quietly. "And now that they're gone, we are next." Terran shook his head slowly. "Not yet. They are watching. They will decide if we are worth sparing." Hale turned toward him. "What will make them decide?" Terran's voice was almost a whisper. "What always does det?" 2 days later, a private channel activated on Hale's console. The image that appeared was dark at first, then a figure stepped forward, the same armored being that had appeared in the war room. Its presence filled the space around Hale. Even through a screen, the voice was calm but carried the weight of something that had seen too many wars. We destroyed them because they hunted us. If Earth hunts us, you will not survive. Hale tried to speak, to ask questions, but the figure raised a hand. We are returning to the dark. Do not follow us. The image flickered and was gone weeks past. The world rebuilt itself, repairing the city's damage during the invasion. Everyone spoke of the shadows in whispers, calling them angels, demons, saviors. No one knew what they truly were. In the quiet of night, Hale often found himself looking at the stars, searching for the faint streaks of movement that betrayed their presence. He saw them sometimes darting between constellations like hunters patrolling their territory, and every time he saw them, he remembered the warning. They had left Earth alone for now, but somewhere out there, they were still watching and waiting across the galaxy. The story of Earth spread faster than any ship could travel. Alien worlds whispered of the failed armada, of the thousands of warships that never returned. They warned each other not of Earth's armies or its weapons, but of the things that lived in its shadows, the things that could not be tracked or stopped, the predators that hunted without mercy and without being seen. Some called them ghosts. Others gave them no name at all, but to Earth they were the reminder that survival sometimes came at a price, and that one day the debt would be collected again. The quiet after the war was thin and fragile like glass, waiting to break. People went back to their lives, but the fear never fully left. It was in the way strangers looked up at the night sky too long, in the way every radar blip sparked rumors, and in the constant low hum of military readiness. Earth had won without firing a single public shot, but Hola knew better. It hadn't been victory, it had been a warning disguised as salvation then. Without reason, the shadows returned. They came without the bursts of destruction. This time, no explosions, no screaming alien fleets, just silent movements in low-orbit black shapes, drifting where no satellites should be. Their presence was impossible to track, yet every major observatory caught glimpses of blurred edge here. A sudden star vanishing there. The news tried to calm the public, calling it debris from the battle, but the governments knew it was not debris. Commander Hale sat in the war room watching as faint pings lit the edge of the map, forming a slow, deliberate ring around the planetine. The desert bunker Terran was already waiting when Hale arrived. The old man's screens glowed with strange symbols Hale had never seen before. They're not here to fight, Terran said without turning around. They're here to test us? Hal frowned. Test us for what? Terran's hands moved across the controls, pulling up a grainy feed from deep space. A small alien scout ship appeared in the frame, sliding toward the system at sublight speed. Within seconds, one of the shadows drifted into view, and the alien vessel went dark. Its lights died, engines silent, and then it simply drifted away untouched. Hale watched closely. They didn't destroy it. Terran nodded. Exactly, they're watching what we do with it. The disabled alien vessel entered Earth's orbit. 3 days later, military forces surrounded it before it could enter the atmosphere. The aliens inside were alive, frightened and unarmed. The question went up the chain quickly. What do we do with them? Hale felt the weight of it, because he knew the shadows were waiting for the answer. The wrong move, and they might decide Earth was no better than the fleet they had. Destroyed far beyond the moon, the shadows hovered unseen. Their forms shimmered against the stars, blending perfectly into the black void. Every so often, one of them would tilt its head toward Earth, as if listening to the voices below. Their patience was inhuman, and they could afford to wait. They had waited a century in the dark before, and they could wait again. This was no longer about war or survival. This was about judgment, and whether humanity would pass or fail was still undecided.